Hi everybody, I wanted to do a video on a couple of things today. It might be a little bit longer. I recently went to a Dena Wakley class up in Langley, BC at Clipper Street Scrapbook Company, and they have a really nice space, and they had classes all day, Saturday and Sunday, with her different classes. I just took one class because it took me a couple hours to drive there and a couple hours to drive back. So I took the class called Puddles and Pockets, and they said to bring a delusions journal. Well, I'm on a budget and I didn't have that, but I had some of this mixed media paper. It came in this wrapper. It was Canson Mixed Media, Multimedia. It was 5 sheets and it was really big, so I cut each sheet in half, and that gave me 10 sheets, and then I sewed it together in a journal. So here's my sewn part here, and it's just a basic sewn journal, and so that's what I took up, and I was really happy that I did, that I didn't spend the money because I already had this paper. So that's an idea. It was big. It's big enough so that I could do whatever they needed to do in the Dilutions Journal. I'm not knocking the Dilutions Journal at all. I'm sure it's wonderful. I just haven't been able to afford one yet, and it wasn't on my top priority list. But when we got to the class, she was awesome. You know, she is just a normal woman, just like all of us. She's a mom. I found her to be really down to earth. I found her instruction to be really valuable in that she was able to show us what she was doing, not just tell us. She led us through every step of the way. I would highly recommend taking a small class from her at any point. So that's what I think of her and her classes. And hi Dena, I'm sure you're not watching, but if you are, hello and thank you so much. I am a teacher myself. I do teach art, and some people say, well, why would you take a class? Well, first of all, most teachers are constantly educating themselves, and I find that keeps me fresh in my practice as teaching and fresh in my practice as an artist. And not only to learn from Dena, which she's wonderful, but also to learn from the other people in the class. And while I don't live in the community where the class was taken, I felt like I met a few people, I got their addresses, they got mine, I handed out some cards, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. These were the cards that I handed out. And I just got to meet some other like-minded folks. I had to borrow some baby wipes from somebody because even though I have a baby, apparently I couldn't bring the baby wipes. And so, you know, you get to talking as you're working, and it was wonderful. It also was a time just dedicated to making art. So if you find yourself not being able to find a time to make art, then take a class, because you've signed up for it, you've paid for it, that is your me time or your art time. So that's why I like to take classes. I don't take them very often, but I love them. I bought a few things after the class that I think will be useful in my practice, and one that will be useful on this project that I'll show you in a minute. I bought her paint, just the night color, which is like a really, really dark purpley blue or bluey purple. It's almost like a neutral, and I'm sure I could make the color if I worked really hard and mixed colors, but she mixed it so nicely, and it is nice paint. So I bought that. I bought some of the fine tip applicators because, as you see in this project here, little lines are sometimes hard to come by, so I wanted little lines. And then I bought, we use these a lot too in the class, the blending tool, and it was just really easy, and you know, they just tear off with Velcro, and they are easy to clean, just with water, and so not a big problem. Okay, somebody's calling me. Hold on, I'm back. That was a phone call from, I don't know, I should not have answered the phone. But anyway, so we use these blending tools, and they were great, and I at first thought, oh, I'm never gonna buy those. I have makeup sponges, like 20 for $1 or whatever. These were really nice, so I did splurge on that. And then I bought the Stabilo pencil, Stabilo, which we didn't use in the class, but I have a black already, and they had a white, and she had said something really interesting, and I've been using the black in my practice a lot, but she said if she went to a desert island, what are the 3 things that she would take with her? And they weren't paper, and they weren't paint. They were Stabilo pencil, water-soluble crayons, like, you know, like Neo 2s or whatever, and then whatever her favorite thing at the time is, you know. But she said she could write on bark for paper, and she could use all sorts of other things, but there's nothing like this pencil and the water-soluble crayons, and you can do a lot with those. So I thought that was interesting, so I just picked up a few more of those. So that's what I purchased. On to the project. The class I took was called Puddles and Pockets, and I'm not going to go over the whole class, but I'm just going to show you what we created. We created this background in the center, and then we made a slit in our paper and put these in the pocket, just little tags. So you can see that's the back. I was supposed to glue this together, you know, like, so you can't see the back, but I didn't do that yet. But little pockets, we did some stenciling, as you can see. We used some deli paper, all of her paints, all of her stencils and stamps, and it was great fun. So I highly recommend taking a class from her. It was worth it. Okay, so that is what I did, and I hope that gave you some information. But when I was there, I was handing out, these are my artist trading cards, and I don't swap them. I use them more like a business card to give people my information. On the back, I have my name, my YouTube account, the date they were created, and the title. And then I can write something on it, like my email address if I want to share that or whatever. And what I do is I just print them on, like, what is this called? Full sheet label papers, and I just cut them out about the size, and just slap them on the back. So I make a whole bunch of these at once, and then I have them, I slip them into Happy Mail, which I love sending, by the way. I don't receive a lot of Happy Mail, and I'm totally fine with that because I don't put my address out there just for anybody. But I love giving Happy Mail, and I've started to actually send Happy Mail to my friends that are just my friends that I don't do art with, but I've been sending it to random strangers. Why don't I send it to my friends? So I've been starting to send little pieces of mail to my friends. Hi friends, if you're watching. Most of my friends don't watch my YouTube channel, but maybe they will someday. I don't even think they know about it. So I'm going to show you how to make an artist trading card like this. It's really fun, it's really easy, and you can take it as far as you want it. The other thing that's cool about it is you can use some of those Gelli Prints that are less desirable. You wouldn't do anything else with them. A lot of people have been asking me, writing on, you know, what can you do a video on what you do with your Gelli Prints? So this is one thing that I do with them. So the first step would be to take some gesso, oops, that's not gesso, and add a little bit of white areas. So that's what I'm gonna do. And while this is drying and such, I'll speed up the process, and then, okay, that was hard to open. And then slow it down and speed it up. I just use my finger. and, you know, just give it some lightness where it's dark. You could skip this step. You could skip any of the steps. But a thin layer so it dries quickly. And you don't have to, like, I'm not gonna use a heat gun. Okay, so I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'll be back. And then I'll do the next layer. Okay, so the next step is I am letting this dry off to the side. I'm gonna make the center of the flowers. So I have some different punches and I have paper. I've been into this paper. I don't know what language this is. So you can just, you know, sometimes go through 2 layers at once. You can do book text the same way. Okay, and then I have a whole bunch of centers of flowers you can do. I've been loving this paper. I have a whole random ream of it. Let me go get some scissors. All right, so again, you can fold it. It makes it easier to cut two at once. It does not have to be a perfect circle either. That's kind of the cool part. So there I have some circles. And I also have some of this cool graph paper. That would be nice. Oh, I have some bingo cards. If you've been following my channel, you know I have bingo cards. But again, cut a nice circle. You could, you know, fold it 5 or 6. Okay, so I have some circles, and then you can glue them down. I prefer to use matte medium, but you could use gel medium or regular glue or Mod Podge or whatever. So let me go get my brush. Okay, here's my matte medium, and here we go. It is random, and if you want them to overlap, you can see how some of mine got big, and they touched each other, overlapped, but when you cut it down to ATC, you just get little bits. So if you want them to overlap, put the little circles closer together. If you want them not to overlap and want to plan it out, awesome, but I'm not a planner when it comes to this stuff. Ooh. Stay put, little bugger. So I'll fast forward through this process too. Okay, so I'm done with that process. I do like to have a variety of sizes, little centers and bigger centers. That way I can make big flowers and little flowers. It just creates some variety, which creates interest. Okay, so on to the next step. I'm gonna let this just sit for a minute or two and dry while I get ready. So for the next step, you're going to need paint, brushes, and some water. Really anything you want to make a mark. Paint light mark. So I'm just gonna start painting the centers first. That's what I do. And the centers don't necessarily have to be realistic flower centers. They don't all have to be painted. They don't all have to be painted at once. There's no have-tos. So here we go. One thing I want to talk about is the different brushes. They make a different mark. Each tool you use makes a different mark. So I liked, this one's a filbert brush, I believe, and I'm learning that. And so it has like a rounded edge, whereas this brush here is a flat brush. And so they're going to make different marks just because they're different tools. Your finger will also make a different mark. This finger and this finger will make a different mark. A little tiny thin brush is going to make a different mark than a thick brush. Thin brush, thick brush. So choose the tool accordingly. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, so now that I have most of my petals done on each one of them, there's a few that don't have them yet. I'm going to move to some darker colors. So first I did kind of bright, lighter colors, and now I'm going to move to some darker colors. So if you'll notice, I'm not letting them dry completely before I add more paint to them. I like the blurry mixy look of when the paint's still wet and it mixes. So for instance, here a little bit and over here. I like that look. So that's what I like. But now I am going to let it dry completely, and I'll probably do a little heat gun. So my next step is using pens. I have gel pens, I have paint pens, I have a Sharpie here, regular pens. I'll get a regular ballpoint pen, and maybe Stabilo at the end. And what I'm gonna try to do is add scribbles, almost like a little kid would outline things and put little dots in things, and not think too much. Right, Shannon Green? Not think too much. Don't let my left brain take over. I did dry it a little bit, and I used open acrylics, of course. So these quinacridone magenta, it's a golden open, and that means it takes a long time to dry, which is good for most things, but not for me right now. So, oh well, I won't touch those things with my pen. So here we go. Okay, so I'm done with that process. I used pens. I used, this is a Papermate Flare pen, and I like it because it's water soluble, kind of like Stabilo, but it doesn't mark on everything, and it's just a regular pen. So I might add a little bit more. I'm gonna just wait for these to dry, and I just cut them up into ATC size. The size is 2.5 by 3.5, and you can see I just cut them up, and sometimes I ink the edges, just put a little bit of ink on it. You could even take any of your leftover paint and go around with a finger and ink your edges, and that's it. Like I said before, I put on a label, a full sheet label, the date I created them. This was earlier this month. Me, my YouTube channel, and what they're called, and then I have a little space. I like a little space so I can write something, and then don't forget to sign your ATCs. A lot of people forget to sign, so you know that's important, to sign your work. So let me go get a pen and I'll do that. Okay, so I'm done with that, the pens, and I used all sorts of pens. And I want to now use this fine line. Oh, what happened? Where is it? I want to now use this Dena Wakley Night color with the applicator tip. And I'm just gonna get it started over here. There it goes. And draw. I love that look. That is so cool to me. So, and I might just do little dots. So I'm just kind of adding the finishing touches. I'm barely touching the piece of paper. Oh, I love that. That little darkness adds just so much, so incredibly much. And remember, it's a lot on this page, but I'm going to be cutting them up. So it'll be little tiny pieces of artwork. Okay, so I'm done. I'm gonna just put the tip back on this. That was easy. I love this. I love this tip. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna let that dry. You're gonna cut it up to ATC size, which is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I would just cut, I wouldn't plan too much. I like the way you get half or most of one and then half, or this one I just got one big one. That just happened to be right in the middle. And then don't forget to sign your work. I just sign with a regular pen. Sign, you can sign along the side, down at the bottom, whatever you want. So let's zoom in and take a look at these. These were some that I made before. Okay, and there you go. So I hope you enjoyed. Make some little ATCs, put in some happy mail to a friend. Like I said before, I use them as just kind of business cards, and with the sticker I just leave a little room so I can write something down here if I want to write a little note or my email or something personal. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.